I never thought I'd bury my own brother's body in the Nevada desert, but that's exactly what I did the night he confessed to selling me out for a quick buck from Dad's shady real estate deals. The shovel bit into the dry earth like it was hungry for secrets, and as the sand swallowed him whole, alive, mind you, just drugged enough to dream, I whispered, "This is for the family you thought you could auction off." Yeah, you heard that right. My brother, the golden boy, had pimped me to a cartel contact in Mexico City, all to cover Dad's gambling debts, and my so-called loving family? They knew every detail and left me rotting in that godforsaken hotel room. Anyway, it started 6 months earlier, back in our cookie-cutter suburb of Phoenix, Arizona, where the sun beats down like God's own hammer on anyone dumb enough to dream bigger than a cul-de-sac barbecue. I'm Jasmine Hale, 32. The black sheep who clawed her way out of community college into a junior copywriter gig at a mid-tier ad firm in LA. Family? We were the Hales. Dad, the ex-cop turned consultant for developers who found loopholes in zoning laws. Mom, the Pinterest-perfect homemaker who popped Xanax like candy to keep the facade shiny. And Ethan, my little brother, 28, fresh out of an MBA program he bought with Dad's dirty money, charming as a used car salesman but twice as slimy. They'd always treated me like the family ATM, emotional support on speed dial, financial bailout when their investments tanked. But that summer, Dad hit rock bottom. A poker binge in Vegas wiped him out to the tune of $250,000, owed to some Vegas wise guys who didn't take IOUs. Enter Ethan's brilliant fix. Leverage my upcoming business trip to Mexico City for a client pitch. See, I'd landed this plum assignment, pitching ecotourism ads to a luxury resort chain, and Ethan, with his network of frat boy connections, innocently suggested I network with a contact named Raul, who ran high-end import-export out of Polanco. What they didn't tell me, Raul wasn't importing artisanal tequila. He was funneling cash for the Sinaloa cartel, and Ethan had cut a deal, delivered Jasmine as a consultant for their legit front, and the debt gets forgiven. Plus a bonus for entertainment. I flew into Benito Juarez International on a sweltering July afternoon, jet-lagged and buzzing with naive excitement, my laptop bag stuffed with mock-ups of pristine beaches and Mayan ruins. The hotel was a marble-floored oasis in Roma Norte, all exposed brick and craft cocktails, the kind of place influencers fake for likes. That first night, after nailing the pitch, hell, they loved my tagline, "Escape to Eden, where paradise whispers your name." I got a text from Ethan. Raul stoked. Meet him at the rooftop bar, 10 p.m. Wear something fierce. Family's counting on you. I laughed it off. Ethan's always been the dramatic one, and slipped into a black sheath dress, the one that hugged my curves like a second skin, heels clicking against the terracotta tiles as I ascended to the skyline view. Raul was there, all silver fox swagger in a linen suit, nursing a mezcal neat, his eyes lighting up like he'd won the lottery when I approached. "Jasmine Hale," he purred, that accent rolling like thunder over Tequila Hills. "Your brother speaks so highly. A visionary, that Ethan." We talked shop, or so I thought, about sustainable tourism, border trade, the American dream bleeding south. 2 drinks in, and he was sliding his hand up my thigh under the table, whispering about private tours that sounded less like cenotes and more like cartel cookouts. I bolted, heart slamming like a bass drop at Coachella, spilling my drink down his crisp shirt as I muttered excuses about early flights. Back in my room, I fired off a frantic text to Ethan. "WTF was that? Raoul's a creep." No reply. Then the phone rang, Mom's number, but it was Dad's gravelly voice on the line. "Jazzy, honey, just play along. It's one night. Raoul's good people, helps with the family business. Ethan's got it all squared away." The world tilted. "Family business? You mean your Ponzi scheme flips on foreclosed McMansions?" "Dad, this is trafficking. Human. Fucking. Trafficking." Silence, then Ethan's voice cutting in, smooth as WD-40. "Sis, it's not like that. Raoul just wants company. Dinner, maybe a spin in his jet. We're Hales, we handle our shit." I hung up, barricaded the door with a minibar cart, and spent the night scrolling expat forums on my phone, pulse racing like I'd mainlined espresso. By morning, the lobby was crawling with suits, Raoul's men, I figured, and my credit card was mysteriously maxed out. No cab would take my cash. The concierge regretted there were no vacancies elsewhere. I was trapped, a fly in amber, while my family, my blood, ghosted me. Ethan's last text, "Handle it, Jazz. Or we're all sunk." Mom's Facebook update that afternoon. A photo of her and Dad at Olive Garden, captioned "Family that prays together, stays together blessed." That's when the real nightmare kicked in. Raoul didn't storm the gates. No, he was too classy for that. Instead, he sent gifts, a diamond bracelet that screamed collar, bottles of vintage Patron with notes in elegant script, for the woman who runs from paradise. I pawned the bracelet at a sketchy tiendita in Condesa, scoring enough pesos for a bus ticket to the border. But paranoia gnawed. Every shadow was a tale, every mariachi a spotter. I holed up in a Fleabag motel in Tijuana, the walls thin as tissue, marijuana smoke seeping under the door like accusatory fingers. Crossings into San Diego were a gauntlet, lines snaking like pythons under the merciless sun, border patrol dogs sniffing for desperation. I made it on the third try, crammed into a smuggler's van with a dozen others, farmhands from Michoacan, a grad student fleeing narco threats, our eyes hollow mirrors of shared silence. Emerging into the California haze, I collapsed at a Greyhound station, stinking of sweat and betrayal, and called the one person I trusted, Lena Vasquez. Lena wasn't family by blood, but she might as well have been. We met freshman year at Glendale Community, her a firecracker poli-sci major from East LA, me the awkward art kid with paint under her nails. She pulled me through my folks' divorce, shared ramen nights when I was broke, and never once judged when I confessed Dad's side hustles. Last I'd heard, she was climbing the ladder at a boutique PR firm in Manhattan, rubbing elbows with the 1%ers who summer in the Hamptons. Her voice on the line was pure New York brass. "Jasmine Hale, you ghost for 3 months?" I was about to send a SWAT team.
Spill.
I did. Every sordid syllable, from Raoul's leer to Ethan's wheedle. She didn't gasp or coo. She cursed in Spanglish, then said, "Stay put. I'm wiring you cash and a ticket to JFK. We're ending this shit show, Mija." Lena met me at the airport in a chauffeured town car, all sleek bob and power suit, hugging me like I'd risen from the dead. Over lobster rolls at some overpriced midtown spot, she laid it out. "Your family's poison, Jazz. But I've got to play. Remember Marcus Hale? No relation. Thank God, tech billionaire, that Hale Industries guy who cornered the drone market? Turns out, he's been my firm's silent partner for years. And get this, he owes me a favor the size of the Grand Canyon." Marcus Hale. The name rang bells. Forbes cover boy. The reclusive innovator who'd turned backyard tinkering into a surveillance empire, drones that could spot a jaywalker from orbit. Lena had ghostwritten his TED Talk, spun his ethical AI narrative into gold. In return, he listens when I call, she said, eyes gleaming. And Jazz, you're about to become his favorite cause. We crashed at her walk-up in Brooklyn Heights, the kind with exposed ducks and skyline views that screamed up and coming. While I showered off the grime of survival, Lena worked her magic, LinkedIn deep dives, anonymous tips to a PI she knew from Juilliard days. Turns out, the Hale's empire was built on sand. Dad's consulting was straight-up bribery for Phoenix strip malls, Ethan's MBA thesis plagiarized from cartel white papers, Mom's charity galas laundering petty cash. And Raoul? His import-export had tentacles in Arizona real estate, flipping properties hot with laundered narco dollars. But the kicker, the secret that twisted the knife, was me. 10 years back, when I was 22, fresh out of high school and stupid in love with a community college dropout named Tommy, I'd covered for Ethan. He'd botched a prank, torched a rival frat house during pledging week, nearly killing 2 pledges. Cops hauled me in as the lookout. I took the fall, pled guilty to misdemeanor arson, did 6 months in county with a record that tanked my scholarship dreams.
Ethan?
Walked free, aced his SATs on my dime. Family loyalty, they called it. I called it the original sin that bound us. Lena's VIP friend, Marcus, didn't just listen, he acted. A week later, we were in his penthouse atop One Pen One, all glass walls and abstract art that cost more than my childhood home. He was younger than I expected, mid-40s, wiry build, eyes like drone cameras, missing nothing. "Jasmine," he said, shaking my hand with a grip like tempered steel. "Lena says you're a fighter. I respect that. Hails like yours? They're the reason I built my company, to watch the watchers." Over single malt scotch that burned like truth serum, he unpacked his angle. Hale Industries had been sniffing cartel ties for years, drones mapping smuggling routes along the border. My story? It was the human hook, the viral thread that could greenlight federal scrutiny. "But revenge," he leaned in, voice low, "that's personal. You want in?" I nodded, tasting copper on my tongue. "Make them pay." The plan coalesced like a storm front. Infiltrate the Hales' Thanksgiving Gala, their annual schmooze fest at the Phoenician Resort, where phoenixes elite preened like peacocks. I'd go as Lena's +1, wired with Marcus's prototype earpiece, a dermal implant that fed live feeds to his ops center in Silicon Alley. Ethan was MC, Dad schmoozing donors, Mom fluttering with canapes. The goal? Corner them with evidence, force confessions on a hidden feed that Marcus would leak to the feds and the press. Controversial? Hell yes, entrapment dressed as justice, blurring vigilante and victim. But Marcus had layers, the kind that made you question if he was savior or serpent. Whispers from Lena. He'd lost his sister to a cartel hit in Juarez years back, funneled billions into off-books ops that skirted CIA lines. Was he helping me or using my pain to settle scores? I pushed it down. Betrayal had hardened me. Trust was a luxury I couldn't afford. The Phoenician loomed like a mirage palace under the November dusk, palm fronds rustling in the dry wind as valets whisked away Beamers and Escalades. I stepped out of the limo in a crimson gown that Lena swore screamed reckoning, my hair pinned up like armor, the implant humming faintly against my temple like a devil on my shoulder. Marcus's voice crackled in my ear. Audio crystal. Drones overhead, full sweep. "You own this room, Jasmine." Inside, the ballroom was a fevered dream of crystal chandeliers and forced laughter, air thick with perfume and hypocrisy. There they were, my family, orbiting the open bar like planets around a toxic sun. Dad in his ill-fitting tux, slapping backs with a councilman who'd overlooked that wetland permit. Mom in sequins, air-kissing socialites while popping another pill from her clutch. Ethan, mic in hand, toasting the unbreakable Hale spirit to a crowd that ate it up, oblivious to the rot beneath. I wove through the throng. Champagne flute as prop, heart a war drum. First contact. Mom, spotting me across the foie gras station, her martini glass freezing mid-sip. "Jazzy? Oh my God, where have you been?" Her hug was limp, eyes darting like a cornered fox. Marcus murmured, "Probe gentle, build the tape." "I've been alive, Mom. Unlike the girl you left in Mexico." Her face crumpled, a Botoxed mass cracking. "It was a misunderstanding, honey. Ethan said you were safe, just extending your trip." Lies, soft as cotton candy, but they burned. I pressed. "Safe? With Raoul's goons at my door? You posted about Olive Garden that day like I was vacationing." She flushed, glancing for Dad. "We were stressed. Your father. The debts." It wasn't personal. Not personal. The words echoed as I slipped away, the implant capturing every whimper. Next, Dad, cornered by the dessert towers, his laugh dying when I tapped his shoulder. "Jasmine. Jesus, kiddo, we thought. You thought I'd disappear quietly? Like the arson rap you hung on me for Ethan?" His eyes bulged, whiskey breath hot. "That was kid stuff. You were tougher. And Mexico? A hiccup. Raoul called it off after you ran, said you weren't worth the hassle." Marcus interjected. "Push on the cartel link. He's sweating." I did, voice steel. "Hiccup? Those hiccups spot your Vegas tabs, didn't they? Narco money in your flips." Ethan's thesis was a blueprint. Dad's jowls quivered, a vein throbbing. You don't know shit, girl. We did it for you, to keep the roof over your head. For me, the gall twisted like barbed wire. He grabbed my arm, whispering fierce, "Drop it, or I'll bury you deeper than that juvenile record." The crowd blurred as adrenaline surged, fight or flight, but this was neither. It was hunt. Ethan found me by the dance floor, all megawatt smile until recognition hit like a freight train. "Cease. Holy shit, you're a ghost." He pulled me into a bear hug, but I felt the tremor in his grip, the calculation in his eyes. "Heard you had a wild adventure down south." Raoul's still pissed. "The implant word, Marcus. He's the key. Reel him." I played along, clinking glasses. "Pissed enough to dox your cartel playbook, bro. But hey, family first, right? Like when I torched that frat house for your prank." His smile faltered, Adam's apple bobbing. Ancient history jazz. Water under the bridge. I leaned in, breath ghosting his ear. "Bridges burn, Ethan. And so do secrets. Like how mom's charity launders Raoul's cuts." He paled, champagne sloshing. "What the fuck? Who've you been talking to?" Paranoia flickered good. Marcus fed lines. "Mention the bonus. Make him crack." "The $50,000 bonus for pimping your sister?" "Yeah, I know. Dad's IOU paid in full, courtesy of my ass on Raoul's yacht." Ethan's face drained to ash, eyes wild. "It wasn't fuck, Jazz, it was supposed to be a meet and greet." Things escalated. We panicked. Panic. The word hung as he dragged me to a powder room, the door clicking shut like a coffin lid. "Listen," he hissed, pacing on marble tiles, "we fucked up. But exposing us? That nukes everyone. Mom's cancer meds, Dad's pension. You're a Hale. Blood in, blood out." "Cancer?" A fresh gut punch, but Marcus cut in. "Verify later." "He's baiting, flip it." I straightened, venom sweet on my tongue. "Blood? You spilled mine in Mexico. Now, it's your turn to bleed." The gala devolved from there, whispers rippling as Dad cornered Ethan, Mom dissolving into hysterics by the coat check. I slipped to the balcony, desert wind whipping my hair, Marcus's voice a lifeline. "Feeds gold. Feds are looped, warrants incoming by dawn." But doubt crept, oily as Raoul's touch. Was this justice or just another layer of Hale deceit? Lena texted, "Proud of you, warrior." Marcus says it's chess, not checkers. As fireworks cracked over Camelback Mountain, ironic, their pyrotechnics masking my inferno, Ethan burst through the doors, feral. "You bitch. Tipped off the press? That drone overhead, Hale Industries? What the hell, Jazz?" He lunged, not to hit, but to plead, hands clawing air. "We can fix this. Family therapy, whatever. Don't destroy us."
Destroy.
The word echoed my shovel in the sand. Wait, no. That was the dream, the fever vision I'd nursed in Brooklyn. Reality fractured as sirens wailed distant, red-blue strobes painting the palms. Dad joined, bellowing about loyalty. Mom sobbed, clutching a rosary she'd never once used. I stood there, a pillar in crimson, the implant broadcasting their unraveling to Marcus's servers, to Lena's Rolodex, to eternity. But the twist, the one that Marcus had buried like a landmine, hit as cops swarmed the valet line. Not for the Hales, but for me. Jasmine Hale? A detective in plainclothes flashed in, cuffing my wrists with clinical efficiency. "You're under arrest for extortion and conspiracy." Courtesy of a tip from Ethan Hale. Betrayal squared, looping infinite. Marcus's voice flatlined in my ear. "Abort. It's a setup." Ethan's grin through the chaos was pure predator. He'd flipped, sold me out again. This time to Raoul's DC lobbyists who'd greased palms higher than Phoenix. Marcus? He'd known his revenge, a honeypot to draw cartel heat, using me as bait. Lena? Radio silent, her texts a ghost. In the squad car, zipping toward Maricopa County lockup, the desert blurred past like accusations. I'd taken the fall once for family. Now, for a phantom justice. But as the implant self-destructed in a pinprick of heat, Marcus's failsafe, a final whisper crackled. Not over, Jasmine. Drones don't forget. Lockup was a concrete purgatory, the kind where time stretches like taffy and regrets congeal into bars thicker than the ones holding you. They processed me quick, mugshot under fluorescence that washed my face to cadaver pale, fingerprints smudged with ink that felt like original sin revisited. Extortion? Conspiracy? The charges were a joke. Paper tigers Marcus's lawyers would shred, but the optics, Hale daughter turns on Hale dynasty, were napalm for the morning rags. Interrogation rooms smelled of stale coffee and despair. Detective Ruiz across the table, all mustache and world weariness. Your brother's singing like a canary, Miss Hale. Says you cooked this whole sting with some Silicon Valley ghost. Raul Mendoza's name dropped twice. Want to walk it back? I stared at the two-way mirror, wondering if Ethan watched, his MBA smirk intact. Walk back? Ask him about the yacht bonus. Or the arson I ate for his glory. Ruiz sighed, sliding a water cup my way. Families, huh? Mine ditched me in Nogales once, spring break gone south. But this? Cartels, drones, billionaires? You're in the deep end, kid. Empathy from a badge. Rare as rain in July. I sipped, buying time. Marcus's last words looping. Drones don't forget. If he was playing four-dimensional chess, I was the pawn left to bleed. Bail hearing dawned brutal, sun lancing through barred windows like judgment. Lena appeared, not as savior but storm, barging into the courthouse in Louboutins and fury, her firm's heavy hitters in tow. This is bullshit, she snarled to the judge, a grizzled type who eyed her like yesterday's news. My client's a victim, trafficking survivor, for Christ's sake. Evidence tampering by the Hale men, clear as day. She dropped the gala feed like a mic drop. Audio of Ethan's pleas, Dad's bribes, all time-stamped and notarized. The judge balked, but bail set at $100K. Pocket change for Lena's connections. Marcus's jet waited at Scottsdale Airport, a sleek Gulf Stream humming impatience. Aboard, over chilled Voss and NDAs thicker than my rap sheet, he finally surfaced. Video link from a yacht off Monaco, salt-streaked and unrepentant. Jasmine, you were magnificent. The flip? Necessary calculus. Ethan's wired to Raul. We needed him to bite. Necessary. The words soured the water. You used me. Again. Like they did. His laugh was digital gravel. Welcome to the game, darling. But look, feds rolled your family at dawn. RICO indictments, asset freezes. Raul's in cuffs in Tijuana, courtesy of my birds. Drones, his eyes in the sky, mapping sins from afar. And you? Clean slate. My foundation's wiping that arson blemish, pro bono. Clean slate. It dangled like fool's gold, but the weariness in my bones craved it. Lena squeezed my hand. He's a prick, but he's our prick. We win this, Jazz, you get the book deal, the TED stage. Hail no more. Our prick. Loyalty's new skin, fragile as a fresh tattoo. Back in Phoenix, the fallout was biblical. The family manse, a sprawling rancher in Paradise Valley, crawled with feds and windbreakers, yellow tape fluttering like surrender flags. Mom, released on her own recognizance, called from a motel off I-10. Jazzy, they're monsters. Your father. He confessed everything. Even a cancer, it's stage 4, lied to manipulate you. Manipulation. The Hale heirloom. I hung up, throat tight, and drove to the desert instead. The same stretch where my fever dream shovel had dug. Ethan? He lawyered up in county, but not before a jailhouse visit, plexiglass between us like the chasm it was. Sis, he croaked through the speaker, hollow-cheeked and handcuffed. It was always you and me against the world. Dad twisted me, Raul too. Forgive. His eyes, once mirrors of my own, now pools of pity play. I pressed the receiver close. Forgive? I buried that kid who torched for you. This Jasmine? She's ash. Guards dragged him as he banged the partition, screams echoing my own silenced howls from Mexico. Dad's trial was the circus. Federal courthouse packed with rubberneckers, CNN vans idling like vultures. He took the stand, A broken colossus in off-rack suits, spinning yarns of coercion and addiction. I did it for my babies, he choked, tears carving canyons in his cheeks. Jasmine took the fall once. I thought she'd understand. The jury split, half nodding empathy, half glaring daggers. Controversial, Marcus called it later, over steak at Delmonico's. No heroes, just humans cracking under empire weight.
Polarizes em debate fuder for eternite.
Mom faded quiet, chemo in a hospice that charity she'd laundered for ironically funded. Her last letter, scrawled shaky. We were weak, Jazz. You were the strong one. Burn it all. I did. In that desert pit, flames licking skyward as stars wheeled indifferent. The twist? It landed months later. Verdict in. Dad 15 years. Ethan 20 on racketeering. Raoul extradited for trafficking. Marcus proposed over heli tour of the strip. Marry the mission, Jasmine. Hale Industries needs a heart yours. Lena hooped, confetti raining, but I saw the strings. His sister's ghost. My scars as collateral. I said yes, because revenge's aftertaste is hollow, and power? It's the next best addiction. Or was it? On our wedding night, drone feed pinged, an encrypted file from Ethan's cell. Sis, Marcus isn't clean. His drones didn't just watch Raoul, they armed him, back-channel deals for border tech. You're trading one devil for another's boardroom. Proof attached. Manifests, emails, Lena's signature buried deep. I stared at the Manhattan skyline from our suite, wedding veil tangled like noose, Marcus snoring champagne drunk beside me. Call the feds? Leak to rivals? Or play the long game, become the queen who topples kings? The city hummed below, a beast of betrayals, and for the first time, I smiled, truly, darkly. No one was clean. We were all Hales at heart. In the end, was it happy? Tragic? You tell me. I buried the file, kissed Marcus awake, and whispered, to empires. But the shovel waited in the desert, patient as sin.